immorality above. A city of desire below. London, 1888. By daylight, the city insists it is the capital of civilization. Gentlemen in polished boots tip their hats politely. Ladies glide through the streets in high-collared gowns that hide every inch of skin. Church bells ring through the fog, reminding everyone of virtue, discipline, and family honor. Everything appears orderly, respectable, moral. But wait until the sun disappears behind the soot-black rooftops. Gas lamps flicker to life along the streets. Horse hooves strike wet cobblestones. A cold fog begins to roll in from the Thames. And slowly, another London emerges. Doors open quietly. Figures move through narrow alleys. Men who preached virtue in daylight now walk quickly through shadows where no one asks questions. Sex never disappeared in Victorian society. It simply moved into the dark. And once hidden, it became something far more dangerous. Tonight, we are stepping into that hidden London. Not the London preserved in elegant paintings, but the London that lived behind closed doors. A city so crowded privacy became impossible. By the late 19th century, London had become the largest city on Earth. More than 5 million people lived here. Factories, railways, and docks had pulled workers from every corner of Britain and Europe. They arrived searching for work. But London had not been built to hold so many people. In districts like Whitechapel, Spitalfields, and Stepney, entire streets overflowed with migrants, dock workers, and factory laborers. Housing was scarce, desperately scarce. Cheap lodging houses appeared everywhere. Inside them, a single room might hold 10 or 12 bodies. Some slept on beds, others slept on floors. Sometimes the beds were rented in shifts. A man finishing a night shift would climb into a mattress, still warm from the worker who had just left for the morning. In places like this, privacy vanished. And when privacy disappears, human instinct does not disappear with it. It adapts. Sex became something exchanged as casually as food or shelter, a transaction, a survival tool. The streets where desire was sold openly. When night fell, certain districts transformed completely. In Haymarket and Covent Garden, theater crowds poured into the streets. Carriages arrived. Music drifted out of taverns. And among the crowds, women appeared. Some stood under gas lamps. Others walked slowly along the pavement, watching every passing face. Not all of them were professional prostitutes. Some were flower sellers. Some were barmaids. Some were widows who had lost everything. For many, selling their bodies was not a career. It was a temporary decision made out of necessity. A night's rent, a warm meal, a place to sleep. Everyone in London knew this was happening. Police officers knew, tavern owners knew, theater audiences knew. But Victorian society had a simple rule. If something was never spoken aloud, it could pretend it did not exist. Two different Londons living side by side. Walk only a few streets west and the scene changes completely. In the West End, brothels catered to the wealthy. These were not dirty rooms hidden in alleyways. They were luxurious houses near theaters and fashionable restaurants. Inside, velvet curtains covered the walls. Crystal chandeliers glowed above thick carpets. Champagne flowed freely. The women here were known as courtesans. They did not simply sell their bodies. They sold elegance, conversation, charm. Some of them could dine with aristocrats and politicians as equals. A single night in one of these houses could cost hundreds of pounds. Money purchased more than pleasure. It purchased silence. But cross the city toward Seven Dials or Ratcliffe Highway and the illusion collapses. Here, the rooms are damp and overcrowded. Mattresses crawl with fleas. The smell of cheap gin fills the air. In these districts, a girl might sell herself for something as small as a bowl of soup or a dry floor to sleep on. The distance between these two worlds might be only a few minutes on foot. But the social distance between them was enormous. One side protected by wealth, the other abandoned to disease and violence. The brothel, a system built on debt. Many people believed that brothels were safer than the streets. But inside, another trap often waited. Most women working in these houses were tied to ledgers of debt. The brothel keeper charged them for everything: clothes, makeup, food, even the bed they slept in. Each expense was written carefully into a book, and the debt never seemed to disappear. To pay it off, they had to keep working. And the longer they stayed, the deeper the debt became. Rooms were cramped and poorly ventilated. Sheets were rarely changed. There were no medical standards, no protection from disease. Illness spread quickly. For many women, the brothel was not a path out of poverty. It was a dead end. Medicine and the fear of female desire. Victorian society believed something strange about women. Respectable women, they said, did not experience sexual desire. They were expected to be pure, passive, and obedient. If a woman expressed desire, doctors often labeled it a disorder. They called it hysteria. The symptoms were vague: fatigue, anxiety, restlessness, melancholy. In prestigious clinics around London, doctors attempted to treat this condition. Their method was unusual. They performed pelvic massage to relieve what they believed was tension in the uterus. Eventually, mechanical devices were invented in the 1880s to perform the treatment more efficiently. These machines were advertised as medical instruments, not as devices connected to pleasure, because naming it honestly would have forced society to admit something it could not accept: that women, like men, possessed desire. Law, morality, and who paid the price. Victorian law claimed to defend public morality, but the reality was far less fair. Police were allowed to arrest women merely suspected of prostitution. These women were forced to undergo humiliating medical examinations. Meanwhile, the men who had visited them faced no punishment at all. In hospitals such as the Lock Hospital, treatments for venereal disease were brutal. Mercury was applied to the body or swallowed as medicine. Instead of curing patients, it often destroyed them. Teeth fell out, gums rotted, faces became disfigured. Some patients died slowly from the treatment itself. The system claimed to protect society, but in truth, it punished only those without power. What Victorian London really teaches us. The truth about Victorian London is simple. Sex was never forbidden. It was simply controlled by wealth. A wealthy gentleman could indulge his desires in secret and keep his reputation intact. But a poor woman or a gay man risked imprisonment, disease, or death. The law did not punish sex. It punished those who were not permitted to have it. The question history leaves behind. Today we like to believe our society is more open. We speak about sexuality in schools, media, and public debate. But if we look closely, some patterns feel familiar. Power still decides who is protected. Money still buys discretion. And the most vulnerable people are still the first to suffer when society refuses to confront uncomfortable truths. The gas lamps of Victorian London fade into the fog, the streets empty. But the question the era leaves behind remains. Have we truly become more honest than they were? Or have we simply learned to wear better masks? Subscribe to the channel so we can explore new lands and historical periods together in our upcoming videos.